the energy is gone, it dissipates. This is the cycle that we are in. And I've been posting constantly, guys. We need to break the cycle. It's not the first time. The problem that we have is that our leaders and their information assassins intentionally mislead people. SADC because we've been told SADC, you know what, there's something that they can do. Panouya vanhu panapa voshamatata zvisingaite for hours proving that SADC can do something outside its member state, which is not true. It can't do that outside the member states. But we have the information assassins that continuously keep us in this trap. They do that for us to participate in elections. Limitation in a fault. Information assassins stood up and said, no, limitation is wrong. Election. Was that true? But the information assassins, we were at the head of saying that. And we insulted key figures. And some non-key like myself. Guys, but we continue because these information assassins are well positioned, and unfortunately, they tend to be the loudest. So my hope has always been good when people see that this is wrong, they'll come back and recalibrate. And and it's time that we actually start thinking and questioning some folks that say these things and our leaders when they say these things. I also mentioned, it's not one person who's talking to SADC. When the opposition talks about it, it seems as if SADC goes one way. I said this recently. I think it was the last space of yours that I managed to join, internet. And I said, do you know that SADC is also talking to Mnangagwa? And do you know that Mnangagwa has an even better position to talk from, being already in government? And that already gives him more power to sway the decisions of SADC. Do you even know that Mnangagwa has more resources than the opponent? Therefore, Kanabani Vanotengeka is what has been accused Siso Ramaphosa of. Marutotengeka in that SADC. So how again would you put all your eggs and depend on what this body is going to say? The solution lies with us, the people of Zimbabwe. It has never been in SADC. SADC can just come as an entity or as a stepping stone to where we want to go, but it is not in it.
We've lost Dr. Talin Masaya there. Viewers and listeners that are listening to this broadcast, we are on a Twitter space that is by courtesy of Gerald Uncle Belts. And I found something interesting there.
Make it doctrine. Go and look at that. There are about 10,000 people who liked that as if it's truth, yet it's not. And it's an easy search, and it's not. A theory from sorry, and this pan focused. A theory from back there. You see, you would still see people clap for it and ululate for utter rubbish, things that make no sense. You see, and I think the only way to consider a breakthrough is us, the supporters. Question before us, gentlemen, and these are the reason why. Hatisi kuchechi kwatofana kungoombera maoko nekuti ndipastor azvitaura kana kuti zviri kunzi zviri kubva kuna Jesu. It's different, guys, when it comes to politics, and I think this is the element that has been missing, and it's why we keep on repeating certain things. It is why we also can't break free or make proper institutions as this squid. I think I want to land on the blaming the citizens. That's the part. Yeah, I think I've already touched on yeku blame my citizens kuti susu pedu patiri kutamba napo ndipapi. But pekuita in action kuti my citizens chingo acta muri mega ikoko. Again, that's a falsehood. That has never happened in history. Kuti a body of about 5 million people just automatically comes together without any central leadership. That's not it. So in essence, when our leaders are telling us, do you know what they're saying? They are saying create an alternative power, a center of power, and follow that center of power. because you will always need that center of power for you to act. Whether tamuti ndi politician, kana tamuti ndi pastor, kana tamuti ndi human rights activist, tinoda that figure who will call us to one rallying point, and that figure is missing. And we have to create it if the leaders don't want to become that. If we want any form of liberty or any form of action. If we don't want to create a new leader, we have to force the ones that are there to start behaving like leaders. And it's taking up the men to end the role. Again, ndinenge ndataurisa zvakati wandei regai ndigumire ipapo.
Right. Can I just ask you, before you go, before I give somebody the opportunity to speak. This question I asked previous speaker as well on the SADC Council of Ministers, and they're the ones that are being said that they set the agenda for SADC summits, and they are the ones that are being circulated as having congratulated Zimbabwe for holding free elections that conformed to the constitution of Zimbabwe, to the Electoral Act, and to the guidelines of SADC. So, is this now the creation of a narrative that is going to shape what that SADC final report is going to be like? Because in its form at the present moment, it is speaking to in its preliminary form, it is speaking to an election that had some elements that did not conform to the Constitution of Zimbabwe, to the guidelines of SADC, and to the Electoral Act, of Zimbabwe. That statement alone, what comes to mind when you hear them? And these are the people that are being said, Kuti, they said, the agenda.
What comes to mind is good. You know what? There's a lot of congratulations that have already come from people that are members to SADC. So it shouldn't shock us that there is something of that nature. But I don't think that it will in any way tamper with the report, because the report again is I pointed out before. Sorry, SADC complainer.
Maitaze komwana naakomana pakaita. Right, kana mtinge mamnyararidza zvenyu mozoya henyu mozoti mhinduro. Right. And
yeah, so sorry, Ingrid, ndingopedzisa then later others step.
All right.
I was going to say kuti tine members akatopa congratulations kudhara. Saka iva congratulations imazvina basa. But tine basa ndicho tinzwisise kuti iyi report chero report ikataura kuti zvinhu zvakashata zvina zvinokushanda zvakanaka. Hapana zvazvinochinja, it's a report. Chatiri kuda isusu is action. And the report SADC is not in itself any action. It's not. It is just to inform the action that we might take. But all right, things like that, so we are justified to do the following thing. We have to remember that. And then we stop putting our eggs on depending on what SADC says and when it's going to say it. We will not have to wait a year to rectify our problems because to mirror out SADC is what our. You see, I think that's important. That's very important. The report is from observers, not monitors. And then we need to know that the report is not action. It doesn't mean that mangwana vakamuka vakaita report yavo pane masoja achabva amacha achipinda muZimbabwe. No. What then happens still depends on what the Zimbabwean people will do. You see. But we are talking of it as if it dare kuti tikauya nditika zvazvanzi ndozvamo final report pane zvichaitika masoja achamacha kubva kuEswatini achipinda muZimbabwe kuti Mnangagwa dzokurodza election. You see, I hope that answers to that question. And I also wanted to add kuti misinformation yatozviita tizvimasaja isusu is what is incapacitating us. Kwakafanira kuti Mukoma Gerard, a question in this: what was the main issue on the agenda? Was it the politics in Zimbabwe or the instability in the region because of rebels coming through Congo? What was the main issue on these two meetings that were consecutive? Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, for that. Right. The new speaker that is going to be coming on is Dr. Wamambo. Dr. Wamambo, welcome to this, to the space, and thank you, for joining us. Earlier on, there's a point, that I raised, which is a point to do with liberation movements within, SADC. And if you see the countries that did send their congratulatory messages early, and those that they did, we are looking at Namibia, we are looking at South Africa. These are countries that are being led by liberation movements. And the coming in of an individual like HH into the mix is representing a different kind of politics, which some may say is modern politics. And I say that the report that he authored, or the report that was authored by the observer mission that was sent by HH and headed by Nevis Mumba, it is a report that is not for this time. It is a report that is for another time. And I said that on the basis, Yekuti, we are still having this liberation movement, trying to still maintain the grip that they have in SADC. And I'm on X right now, and I'm looking at a statement that has come from or a post from the Herald that speaks to the regrouping of liberation movements. And they've got Nevis Mumba's picture right there, Nelson Chamisa next. And in there they are speaking of the attempt by the West to introduce what or to put to put people into place that they say democratic people who are modern and who are responsive to the needs of the people, and yet in reality it is Western countries' expectation and whims. So already we are now talking of a narrative that is being built here, and that narrative will be intensified as time moves on, because we are going to be having elections in South Africa very soon.
Yes.
So with this in mind, will the role of SADC be effective as it is expected here? Or whatever it is that has happened in Zimbabwe, we are now beginning to see the efforts to rewrite the narrative, such that when we get to the ordinary summit that is going to be held in August 2024, the final report that is going to be tabled before the heads of SADC, that's that, will not be reflective of the preliminary report that was produced on the 25th of August 2023. Take the mic, Dr. Wamambo.
Yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to speak here. And Doti ngiyabonga ndinotenda. Danke she.
So this is the space that I'm just in. The light. Okay. There we go. I hope you can see me clearly. All right. Thank you so much to everyone that is joining this conversation. We're talking about the report that has been given by SADC yesterday. If you can hear me clearly, please just indicate that you can hear me clearly as we have this dive into this conversation. Very, very critical conversation about the SADC report. I'm going to read it to you, but also I'm going to, if you want it, please indicate to me. I'll put my WhatsApp number. I'll send to you the SADC report of the meeting that was held yesterday in virtual meeting that was chaired by Hakainde Hichilema. So definitely it's something that is very, very important. So the question that we're asking is, has SADC failed Zimbabwe? Right? And we want to dive on that. And you are also welcome to come through and be part of that conversation. That is the number. If you want that report, you can just send a hi and say SADC report. I'll send you that on WhatsApp. I have it on WhatsApp. So please indicate you want to be part of that. But that is the question that we're asking. Yes, SADC failed Zimbabwe. And you were listening to Dr. Tadini Masaya on the Twitter space. I just was giving a snippet of that, of space that is being hosted by Uncle Jed, who is based in the UK. But that is the question. And I'm going to read to you the report. And if you've checked my video that I uploaded earlier, you will see that I've said that if we are pinning our hopes on SADC, we're going to be disappointed because SADC will wait upon us as Zimbabweans to act. And if we are not acting, SADC is they can't do anything. You see, they can condemn, but they can't do anything to a sovereign country. So, and Dr. Tadini Masai was literally saying that our leaders, they failed us. They failed to provide leadership. I'm talking about Nelson Chamisa. They failed to provide leadership to say, what are we going to do? Pinning their hopes on SADC to say, SADC is going to save us. That ain't going to happen. That is not going to happen, people. We are on our own. We need to act as Zimbabweans. We need to fight for our country. If you want something better, we need to fight for it. And that can only be done by us Zimbabweans. And it's a pity that we find ourselves in this scenario. And I know there's going to be insults that are going to be held at me. But this is the reality. Let me just read to you it says here as the contents of the meeting. This is what it says. It says, according to, decision on elections in the region. That was part, but I'm going to read the first 8 points that were mentioned. Point 2.2, it said that on elections, government of Republic of Zimbabwe's response to the SADC Elections Observer Mission preliminary statement. The ECO MCO Troika noted that the SADC Electoral Observer Mission SOM was deployed to the Republic of Zimbabwe to observe in harmonized elections which took place on the 24th August 2023, according to SADC principles and guidelines. Let me go to point 2.2.2. The ECMCO Troika has also noted that SOM is mandated to observe election in terms of SADC principles guidelines governing democratic elections, which all SADC member states signed and adopted, been operational since 2004. Right. This is what they then said in point 2.2.4. The Troika noted that in terms of section 1.3, the chairperson and the organ shall receive SOM reports of the SADC Electoral Advisory Council on matters pertaining the elections and the enhancement of democracy and good governance in the region. And the reports of the SADC Election Observer Missions are handled in terms of Section 111.8 of the Principles and Guidelines. The SOM issues a preliminary statement immediately after the close of polls. The preliminary statement outlines the initial finding of SOM. Here is what are the things that they are talking about on point 2.2.9, 2.2.8. The Troika noted that with concern, the personal attacks and threats on the media that have been directed at the SOM head of the mission, Dr. Nevas Mumba, and chairperson of the organ, His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, since Zimbabwe SOM released its preliminary statement on the 25th of August 2023. The attacks were made by individuals in both ruling parties, ZANU-PF political party, and some in high-level positions in government. The narrative in these attacks have been that SOM preliminary statement on the Zimbabwean elections was personally authored by Dr. Nevers Mumba. Right? EOM further notes that such attack undermine the SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections and might have a negative bearing on the SOM that are to be deployed in the future elections, especially with another election coming on the 29th of September in Kingdom of Eswatini. That is tomorrow. Right? So if you read throughout the statement, you find that it is mainly talking about the attacks of Nevers Mumba, nothing much about what they are. They're saying that such attacks, you know, they damage the region and all of that. Nothing much to say about what they're going to do. So the ball is in our court. Pinning our hopes on SADC was actually a disingenuous call by some members of the opposition. Personally, that's what I feel. But I feel, Kuti, it's up to us for us to act. And I really applaud what I was seeing here. Let me just put it up there. I was really applauding what these guys did in Cape Town, and it's amazing how it's very, very incredible to see how people personally attack the likes of Cookstown and the other people that are actually doing this, and they are
And I want to
mocking them.
believe
And
that
you ask yourself,
whatever
what does
is going to
the
happen
people
in South
Zimbabwe
Africa,
really want? You know,
we shall see
we haven't suffered enough.
EFF
That's my thinking. But
making
anyway, I would love
strides,
to hear your thoughts on this.
taking those
What do you make
positions,
of this report?
influencing
If
South
you want
Africa
it,
in a way that's more
WhatsApp number that is appearing on the screen, that is scrolling on the screen.
forceful in terms of
Let me just
significance,
add here.
in a non-violent way. Namibia, Angola, we don't talk about those, but they will be a time when you'll see those fissures being exposed
right
in what they are.
There
It
you
is
go.
always,
If you want to get the
and
report,
has always
please
been
WhatsApp
a
that number
fact
and I'll send it
that
to you.
their
What is your
apparatus,
thoughts on
their
what is happening
propaganda
in our election
is the Western
what
world,
SADC has said?
and the fear in which they
are you now
instill
awake?
in the people of
Are
Zimbabwe,
you now
of South
getting into
Africa,
reality of
trying
knowing
to
that
scare them, to say these colonizers are coming back
here,
to steal our
and
land,
the next
to steal our freedom.
time they are going to talk about it,
You know,
next year,
that narrative, although as
it's
it
almost
might
a year from
look
now,
like
about
it's
11 months
powerful
from now,
right now,
that's when they are going to
in
talk
its
about this election
in its exposure
next year,
or in its expansion.
so there is no emergency for
I
them.
hate to even recognize that name,
like
but we know who it is.
So
basically writing conspiracy theories about the very nature and the narrative of the Western world.
I would love to hear your
basically
thoughts, if you want to be part
Zimbabwe,
of the
or actually getting ready to invade South
there is
Africa
the link
and recolonize
and
the
then
SADC region.
we can
We know that narrative.
Get to that,
and that
if
narrative
you want to be part of the conversation,
was working in the past,
follow this
but
link
has lost
and you give
its
me your thoughts.
power and has lost
I think
its
I
strength.
can take few
and as time goes on,
until
we
get
shall
to 30
see.
minutes, and then we
It's
can
gonna be
close
evident
this. But
that
my stance still
these
stands the same.
countries, these liberation, so-called liberation heroes,
unless our leaders
in their numbers
do something,
will soon but
there's nothing to hope for. This issue is gone. Elections are done according to SADC, and unless they see a crisis, unless there were dead bodies in Zimbabwe, unless there was fire and fury in the streets of Zimbabwe, there's nothing that is going to happen in our beloved country. But what is your thoughts? Please, would love to hear those thoughts from you on the on what is happening. Right. One more reminder: if you want that SADC report, please send the number. Send me a message and say hi on WhatsApp, and I will be able to send you that report. If you also want to be part of the conversation, you can call this number as well, and I can be able to give you that
report. All right. Let me be back to the conversation that I was listening to.
Ask you because right now is traversing the breadth of the country. He's all over now. He's he was he was in Manicaland today. He was in Massachusetts Central. He was in Marsh East, and he's going there.
All right, Vena. You can send the report. I mean, send your message on the number that is appearing on the screen. I will be able to send it to you.
Q or whatever it is that happened is a fresh election, and is calling for a transitional mechanism to facilitate the calling of a fresh election. So, given all that is doing, is that not proof that is out there rallying, the troops? And there was even a talk of 3 million signatures that you are saying that they could put together. And with that evidence, if they take it, to SADC to say that, look, this is what the people of Zimbabwe are saying, that this election needs, to be redone. Are we not going to be seeing effort from SADC to try and be the mediator and facilitate the holding of a fresh, election, in Zimbabwe? I mean, how do you respond, to that?
I would say if that's what I know, that the interface drive that he's doing, I've heard about it. I've seen snapshots of it, but I would want to say his PR is as good as dead, if not a lot of us know about the ins and outs of and the goings on in a much larger scale than where he is right now. I know I'm not going to say I should hear everything, but when he is in those local areas, yes, he is reaching out proper and good. That's well and fair. But calling for a fresh elections at this point is good and dandy for him. But what is it doing to change the mindset of SADC at this point? We are not hearing any rumblings in terms of the diplomatic force in word and in press communication, and also the bossiveness of it all that needs to come out of it. Ngasangonyarara achiti ari kuenda in places and places, and we hear about it and we see clips. We want to be able to see that those things that are being that are there and that are happening on the ground are being multiplied, if not triplified, in so many ways. So that there is not that vacuum it's silent. Let there be noise within the space. X platform, social media, not even there, but in media that is favorable to Chamisa. Be it the South African outlets, Mozambican outlets, you are going to be talking about it in a way that they have to buy. Space newspaper. They should be buying space and talking about what they are doing in all SADC regions, making sure that they are visible as well within those countries, so that the people of Mozambique, the people of Angola, know that in Zimbabwe this is what's happening. That's when you crack and you expand the exposure, and that seemingly quiet diplomacy becomes a forceful and vociferous voice within the region. Because I will tell you this, if they come up with that strategy where it perverses into the SADC region, not just in those small areas, and then they get the allowance of the favorable media, be it small written media, press, anything that they can get to, and expose and introduce as well as to inform those regions and make it loud as consistently as possible. Come 2024, the idea of a Zimbabwe that has an opposition that is strong will be much more greater and a threat than it is right now. So the PR or whatever information services should re-strategize on that. Because the more the quiet they become, the less interested and also the less attached the Zimbabweans will be to their narrative. And it will be much, much harder for us as supporter to come through and support them in so many ways we can do. That's the unfortunate part. So let's not do quiet diplomacy. Be perversive and be consistent with your message, and make sure that that message is carried in the parliament, to the council.
Yeah, change for sure.
Hello, Melissa, how are you? Hello? Hello? Hello, Melissa? Melissa? Hello, Melissa, how are you? Oh, we have lost Melissa. We're about to, this was almost our last, we wanted just to do 30 minutes. But anyway, if you want to be part of the conversation, I'll give you last 2 minutes. The link is here on the comment section. You should be able to see it. In fact, let me just pin it on top. All right. All right. All right. So then you can be able to see it is on the pinned. And if you want the report that has been given by SADC Troika organ, please get in touch with me on that number, and I'll be able to forward it to you as it is. Definitely a important read for everyone. I don't know what's going on with my picture. It's just flaring. Maybe it's because what I'm wearing. But this is it, ladies and gentlemen, and viewers and listeners. We are here. I think this is reality. You know, I always say we must be able to separate fantasy and reality. I don't know the canvassing that that Nelson Chamisa is doing. Is it something that we can bank on, or it's something that people should not bank on? Because right now we only have two parties in Zimbabwe: ZANU-PF and Triple C. Those are the parties that are in parliament. Those are the parties that are, in parliament. Only two of them. So that means that if we are to talk of anything that is going to move, it is going to move from the opposition side. And I'm not seeing any of that right now. And that is very, very worrying. But anyway, what do you make of this report? I'm going to, as I was reading it to you, if you are joining us for the first, now, you can always scroll back and see where I was reading the report. But if you want to read the report, it's very short. It's not so many pages. You can actually request and I'll send it to you. And you can read it for yourself and find out whether there is something that you can hope for, or there is talk of any fresh elections from SADC. Anyway, that's all that I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, share this video with your family and friends, and I'll see you on the next video. And it's good night for now.